Are you ready? Stand by.
Welcome to the 3 Gun Show, brought to you by Armalite. This is episode 149, and I am your host, Dave Hartman. My guest this week is Marketing Manager of AMTAC Suppressors, instructor at the Tactical Performance Center in St. George, Utah, and friend of the show, Adam Reiser. And he is here to tell us the proper way to introduce new shooters to 3 Gun. Before we get into the interview, a couple things. First, I've mentioned a few times that I started a Patreon account for the show. Many of you have signed up, and I'm absolutely grateful for your support. If you're not familiar with Patreon, it is a service that allows you as an individual to support me as a creator monetarily. Think of it like crowdfunding on a subscription basis. If you like the show and you want it to continue and you choose to support the show using Patreon, there are multiple levels from $1 per month to infinity, each with their own reward. And you can see those rewards at patreon.com/3gunshow. That's Patreon. One of those levels gets you access to a private Facebook group. Another gets you access to Match Recon podcasts and bonus content. And there are a bunch of other great rewards at other levels as well. The Match Recon podcasts are available through Patreon exclusively for the first 90 days for supporters of the 3 Gun Show. And there are many of them out there as well. If you choose to support the 3 Gun Show using Patreon, you can do so at patreon.com/3gunshow. Now on to this week's podcast. I caught up with Adam Reiser this weekend at the Rockcastle Pro-Am, and we were in the middle of the match. So first, let me say congratulations to Adam on his 11th place finish in TAC Ops. Very well done. So Adam and I sat down by the cooling cave to discuss the proper way to onboard someone into the sport of 3 Gun. And he warms us up with a funny story about traveling while working in the firearms industry. Doesn't always quite go according to plan. Show notes can be found at 3gunshow.com/episode 149. Now enjoy this one with Adam Reiser. Adam, welcome back to the 3 Gun Show.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Dude, it's great to have you back. I'm pretty excited because a lot has happened in your life since we talked last. Like
Yeah,
there's
a
been
little
a lot of reprioritization of priorities, a lot of trips you've gone on, and you're up to a bunch of different stuff in the 3 Gun world. So let's start there. What have you been doing in 3 Gun since we last talked?
Let's see. I'm teaching classes, 3 Gun classes with Brian Nelson at the Tactical Performance Center. So that's been really cool because I really like teaching people, and been shooting a whole lot more major matches. So now we're in Rockcastle right now.
Yeah.
Shot Rocky Mountain last weekend. I didn't really realize when I agreed to shoot both of them that they were on back-to-back weekends. And
that's a tough one.
Yeah, I got Generation 3 Gun coming up here a little bit later, so it's
nice. I'll see you there.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good season, and then hard as hell, of course. So
yeah,
be good.
Yeah, so those are all I guess traditionally like open terrain-y type matches at large facilities type of thing. So yeah, let's set the stage here, Adam. We're sitting in front of the cooling cave at the world famous Rockcastle Shooting Center,
which feels amazing.
It is amazing. I'm so glad that Brian Nelson recommended that we come over here because it was stinking hot.
Yeah. And you had to chew the air to breathe it, which I'm not a real big fan of. But
yeah, we were talking about this. So are you from Utah or are you?
No, I grew up in Washington State. So Vancouver, Washington originally, and then the east side after I was about 9. And then I moved to Utah and I was about 25-ish or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
So it's been at least a decade since you've been in Washington. So you're used to the dry air.
I'm very much used to the dry air, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, and I'm from Colorado, and I've been hanging out there like the last month. So it's really friggin' humid here in Kentucky. Like yesterday when we shot in Thunder Valley in the morning, and so the sun's coming up, over the valley, looks beautiful and everything. But it had rained the night before, so all that CRP grass in there, which I think it's some sort of resource protected grass where we have all the targets out to. Once the sun comes up, it just heats that up, and like all that humidity comes out.
Oh,
and I got to one of those rifle positions, and by the time I reached like the last target, my glasses were so fogged up from all the humidity that I couldn't even see my reticle. I was like, I guess I'm done.
Yeah, we had like half the people in the shotgun stage. That was the first stage. What was it this morning? And yeah, you couldn't see anything by the time you got to the end. It was just straight point shooting.
Well, luckily it's shotgun, right? Because you don't need an aim.
Yeah, you don't need to aim shotguns because that's how that works.
Nice. Well, Adam, we're here to talk about getting new people into 3-gun, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts on that as you've had the opportunity to have a lot of students come through with your training at the TPC. But first, man, you work for AMTAC Suppressors, and I think we kind of downplayed that maybe a little bit on the last podcast because we didn't know if it was cool with the bosses or whatever. But
yeah, it's fine.
But now it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
And you're here actually doing a demo with AMTAC, and one of the funnest side matches I've ever shot, and I'm absolutely terrible at it. It's something very unique.
You can't be good at it. That's kind of the point of it.
Yeah. So describe the side match for the audience, and then let's get into this story that you have of traveling for work with weapons.
Yeah. So the side stage that we came up with, we did a little test run of it at Rocky Mountain. One of the things that I do when I'm traveling for matches when I'm not doing it for work and it's just me, I'll just throw some AMTAC stuff in the back of the truck. So if someone's asking questions, I can pull some stuff out and we can go shoot it. So we took the whole our whole squad 16, Squad Awesome. Shout out to you guys, the best squad in the history of competitive shooting. And we went down to the sight-in range and we test run the side match and had a great time. And they're like, you absolutely have to take this to a match because it's awesome. So we have one of our FireAnt 22 suppressors on a cricket rifle. And if you've never shot a cricket, it's like a Rube Goldberg device. It's
for children.
It's for children, and it's very specifically designed to make it impossible for a kid to shoot anything they're not intending to shoot.
Yes.
And so you got to run the bolt. There's this little tiny feed ramp. You got to get the thing to lay on. Close the bolt. There's a little plunger you got to pull back. If you bump the bolt when you're pulling the plunger won't stay back, and it's impossible to shoot the thing. And so it is. We have just a giant piece of steel at like 10 yards. And, you can't get any eye relief off the scope or anything, so you just shoulder it and pling the steel.
If you see white.
If you see white, you just, or if you don't see anything, or you can hip shoot it if you want to. But you just have to run 5 rounds through a cricket rifle, and it most of the times are around 30 seconds to run 5 rounds through it. It's we have about a 50% quit rate right now. Like half the people just get 3 rounds into it, and they're like, dude, I'm done.
Which is hilarious because we're a bunch of Type A personalities, so you would think that even though we're losing, that we would still want to keep going.
Yeah. Well, people see the fast time and they're like, 2 rounds in, they're like, well, not beating that because I'm finished.
Yeah, you might need to hide the fast time. Yeah, so my run was like 37 seconds, and it was a pain because if you don't get it like exactly on that little feed ramp,
it's got to be perfect.
It's got to be perfect.
Yeah.
Then I jammed the bolt, and I'm like, I'm probably going to ignite this thing, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like trying to jam that bolt home and it's not working.
I can't believe that rifle still runs because we've had like 300 3-gun shooters like running a cricket rifle as hard as you can run it. Like,
you need to put some oil on that bolt, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring my little bottle of oil I got, and I'm going to
get a reshoot,
lube the heck out of that thing, and then I want to reshoot.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. If you did gun maintenance for us, you get reshoots. That's how that works.
Yeah, it's that is a fun side match though, is a kick in the pants. And like you guys were saying, there's like nothing better than shooting a suppressed 22, man. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I've shot 50s and bolt, like whatever you want, like belt fed this, full auto that, and like shooting a suppressed 22 is still the most fun thing, just especially per dollar. You can shoot that thing all day. It costs like $12.
It's perfect. Mm-hmm. Well, so when you travel for work, it's mostly plane travel? You guys drive places?
We do a combination of the two. If we can drive to where we're going, we tend to drive because we tend to bring a lot of stuff. And if we can bring like steel and things like that along as well, then we do.
It's like demonstrations?
Yeah, it's usually demos or, like traveling to shows and things like that. So like for this, we had to ship all of our ammo. Everybody here is pretty greedy. We actually shot through all of our 9mm in about 2/3 of the first day, so we had to go up to the truck up there and go buy some more. And so you got to ship all the ammo. You got to do everything ahead of time. You get pretty wrecked on baggage fees when like I have all my 3-gun stuff plus like 3 rolling cases of demo rifles plus everything else. So
Jeez,
like
that's
the plane ticket isn't even the expensive part of the flight. Like it's just the baggage fees cost more than the plane ticket does. It gets pretty ugly. So we got to plan ahead a lot for the flying parts. We try to drive if we can.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so when you had this experience that you told me about, I was like, don't tell me anymore. Save it for the
They've
show.
shut me down. He's like, no. I don't want to know.
Exactly. I want to find out with the audience. So,
okay.
Give me a little background, set the stage. Where were you going?
Mm-hmm.
And what was it? Was it like an event? Was it a demonstration?
So we were flying to, I think it was Pennsylvania, and it was some
from
like,
Salt Lake.
Yeah, from Salt Lake. It was some kind of like trade show type thing. I don't exactly remember what it was. And I was shooting. This is right after I started with the company. So I'd been there like 3 weeks. And they're like, all right, we're going to this show. And I'm like, yeah, I'm shooting Iron Man that weekend, and I'm not shooting Iron Man. So, like, we're going to have to figure some stuff out. So we figured, okay, price table usually wraps up about 5, 6-ish, somewhere in there. Eric's going to drive me from there to the airport. It's about a 5-hour drive. So if we get a midnight flight, this should totally work out, right? And so the plan was to, drive from Iron Man to the airport and then flat. So I had just a carry-on bag packed with everything I needed, and shot Iron Man. We get in the van. It's like 6 o'clock. We got a 5.5-ish hour drive to go for a flight that leaves at midnight. So Eric's like, all right, dude.
I'm liking this already.
Yeah, he's like, all right, dude, I'll drive. And you just go in the back. For those who haven't seen it, I used to roll in this like super skid. Well, I still have it for climbing. It's a very standard thing in climbing to have a van with a bed in the back and like a stove mounted to like a little makeshift table.
Yeah. Is there a term for that?
We just call it the creeper van, but it's a pretty standard setup for climbers.
It's like the dirtbag life. Like,
yeah, and like
Google Alex Honnold and like Goal Zero.
Exactly.
And that's
you'll see like the really nice version of that. And it's one of those things like if you're a climber, my van's real nice.
Yeah.
And if you're a 3-gunner, it is the sketchiest thing you've ever seen. It's a very like it's a culture thing, right?
It is.
So anyway, I crawl in the back in the bed, and it's kind of an older like F-250, and it doesn't really ride the nicest. And when you drive it over about 80, it starts to get pretty hard to keep between the paint. So Eric's driving, and he actually races cars. It's kind of like his other hobby.
Eric does?
Yeah, and he's like a autocross racer.
Oh, okay.
And so Eric's driving, and I'm in the back, and I wake up, and the thing's just like doing the old Cadillac sway, but like a little more than I'm like enough so that
and
it
you're
wakes
not
me
belted
up.
down to the bed.
No, I'm just laying on the bed. Like, so yeah, I've launched my wife off of that bed before, like locking her up for a deer, and she woke up like losing friction with the bed as she like launched into the van. So we try not to sleep in the back when we're driving anymore. But anyways, Eric's driving, and I'm waking up, and like once you start getting up about 100 miles an hour, once you're
100
over,
miles an hour?
No. What I'm saying is, once you're over 100 miles an hour, if you're looking at a road with the broken line on it, you can't see the brakes anymore. It just looks like a solid stripe.
Yeah.
And I look out of the back of the van, and it's not quite there, but it's close. And I'm just like, all right, go to my happy place. And I just like lay down and close my eyes. So we get to the airport, and Eric drops me off. I got like just enough time to get her done. I run up, I get my ticket, I run to security. And I had like the pre-packed bag. Like I planned ahead for this. Like I'm a smart man. Like I'm not gonna have time to pack, so I pack ahead for this. I got the backpack. It's all sterilized of all the shooting stuff, so it's gonna be fine. And I run through security, and I take my shoes off and walk through. And they're like, "Oh, sir, we need to search your bag." I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." And so they're digging through the bag, and I'm putting on one shoe, and the guy's like, "Sir, you can't have this." And I look up, and he's got a can of Coke in his hands. I'm like, "Oh, sweet." My bad. I totally forgot. Like, don't even worry about it. In fact, I didn't even know that was in there.
And don't look any further.
It's like, I didn't even know that was in there. And so he throws the Coke away, and I'm putting on the other shoe, and I hear, "What the hell is this?" And I look up, and he's holding a suppressor. And I just went,
"Are you not allowed to have suppressors on flights?"
Yeah, not so much. They're considered firearms because they have a serial number on them. So I look up at the guy and just went, "Oh shit!" And he goes, "Sir, what is this?" And he like literally didn't know. And I will admit there was a split second where I was just like, dude, just tell him it's a dildo and you're out of here. You're free and clear. Just do it. Just go.
It's my serialized.
It's my serialized. Yeah.
Personal pleasure device.
Oh my God. So I look at him and I was like, okay, here's the deal. I got my hands in plain sight. I'm like, here's the deal. That is a suppressor for a rifle. I work for the company that makes them. I do some product testing. I was out testing it a couple days ago. I completely forgot that it was in my backpack. I'm legally allowed to have it, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, do I have any prayer at making my flight? And he just stares at me with total blank, face for 10 seconds. And then he slowly leans to his shoulder to his shoulder back. He goes, I need backup. I was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm going to jail. And 20 seconds later, 12 more dudes with ARs show up in the security area and make a little horseshoe around me.
Are you kidding me?
No, I swear to God. I was like, yep, this is going to be an experience. Things are about to go real squirrely right now. And so he's standing there nobody's amused, right? I'm like, hey, guys, how's it going? That's a nice AR. You want a suppressor for that? Because I got one.
Kind of hurts your ears when
yeah,
you shoot.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, you don't want to be firing that thing indoors. You don't want tinnitus, man. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Think about your health.
Yeah. And so they kind of shove it up the chain of command a little bit. They're not really sure what to do. Finally, this dude comes walking down suit, tie, concealed carry. I'm like, clearly this guy is in charge, right? He comes walking up. Hey, what's going on here? I'm like, sir, I give him the whole story again. I work for this company, a little testing. I forgot that was in my,
Did they
bag.
detain you or make you sit down or anything?
No, they just kind of stood around me at the kiosk. So it was midnight. So there was nobody in the airport. It was just ghost town. And so he comes walking up, looks at everything, and he's like, oh, yeah, this isn't a problem. It's just what are you going to do, bludgeon somebody to death with it? It's this is total BS, Dave. And he fills out a bunch of forms really quick, and he just walks me back through security. So I go, and they hold the plane for me. I get on the plane. I fly out. I get to Pennsylvania. I think it was Pennsylvania at some god-awful time in the morning. I was just an Iron Man for 3 days sleeping in the back of a van, so I smell awesome. And get in the car.
Shady character.
Drive straight to the event, walk up and sit down in the on-tent booth. No sleep, no shower, no nothing, and worked that day. That was my 10th day on the job. Oh, my God, it was brutal. And so that, that kind of came and went, and that was fine. We got home, and everything was good. And we had,
tell me what a worker.
We had a little. Oh yeah. I got instant street cred at the. Oh yeah, for sure. Everybody who came up there is like,
dude, Riser's hardcore.
He's hardcore, man. And so.
Hang on. How did you get the suppressor back to Salt Lake?
We did. Well, my boss was already in PA with all the guns, so we
okay.
just actually put it in a case with all the other guns
gotcha.
and all the suppressors and stuff. Oh, also on that trip. Delta lost a case, and I'll have to show you the photo of it later. I'll bring it up, but they lost a case with 9 suppressors, 2 machine guns, and an SBR in it. And they're just like, yep, sorry, we don't know where it's at. It turned up 3 days later in cold storage. It was in a refrigerator somewhere. Okay. And I'm like, yeah, I think that got lost. And I'm doing the air quotes for the for Dave.
That was
here.
getting ready to get stolen.
Yeah, that was getting ready to get stolen for sure. So we actually missed all the live fire portion of the demo. We just had a tablecloth and hey, we have things. They're not here.
So what happened? Did you have to call the? Do you have to file a report with the ATF when that happens?
So here's the deal. So for the ATF, you gotta call them up and inform them, and do all this crazy stuff. If you're out of possession for a certain amount of time, things like that. So if they lose your luggage, you gotta call the ATF and inform them of what's going on. But in the case of my accidental carry-on,
I don't care about that. I'm asking about the machine guns.
Yeah. Well, no, that's kind of part of the threat too. It's because you're standing at the baggage counter, they're like, sir, we don't know where your bag's at, and you're like, this is the ATF on speed dial. I'm gonna hit this button and I'm gonna tilt your whole world upside down because we need to know where this is at. So, So if they're gone for long enough, the ATF gets involved. It's generally not a really pleasant experience. I've never been through it. I've only heard stories. So it's it's kind of like an audit, but way worse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not awesome.
Sounds terrible.
But yeah, so we get home. Everything's fine. It's a funny story. I'm gone for something. About a month later, and my wife calls me up and she's like, "Hey, there's a pretty ominous looking envelope here from the Department of Homeland Security. Do you want me to open this? Like, yeah, go ahead and open that. So she cracks it open, and there's a strongly worded note with a fine.
A fine?
For an amount that includes a comma.
Oh.
And, yeah, it was not pretty. And there's a bunch of options of, like, what you can do. And so it's like you can call a lawyer and schedule a court date. You can, it's like bringing a restricted item onto an airplane. So if you bring a knife, a gun, or anything, if it goes far enough up the chain of command, like, you get one of these.
That dude sent you on the plane with it.
Right? And that was kind of my thing. I was like, the dude said it was fine. I would assume that meant that it was cool. And I was like, hey, man, like, I have this guy's number. But it's just this blank piece of paper that's like, here's the address that you send your fine to, or you can take one of these other options. And so one of them is if you pay the fine right then, you only have to pay half of it, which was still like $1,000. Or you can get a lawyer, or you can do all these other things.
Which are way more expensive than $1,000.
Way more expensive than $1,000.
I see what the government's doing here.
Exactly. But
they just saved you from you.
They
protected you from you.
They totally protected me. I feel so safe now. And
for the mere cost of $1,000,
mere cost of $1,000,
we will protect you so hard.
Exactly. Yeah, they protected me hard for sure. So, but at the bottom of that list, one of the check boxes says, an informal conversation with a member of the Department of Homeland Security. And I was like, that sounds like the least ominous of these. And it also kind of pushes like all these other decisions back. Because I'm like,
down the road,
I'm Googling the hell out of this, and everyone's like, yep, you're host. I'm like, sorry. Like, I don't know.
Do you guys have like a lawyer at work or anyone that?
Yeah, we got a guy on retainer and stuff. And like, even he was like,
dude,
he was basically like, dude, just pay $1,000. Are you kidding me? It's like, just like eat it. And so I checked the last box. It's like informal conversation with the representatives from the Department of Homeland Security.
I'm gonna put that as an option on any email I send now. For an informal conference with Dave on the Three Good Show. Hit reply.
Exactly. So I don't know. Like I sent it off, and like a week later, I get a phone call, and it's like, hey, this is such and such from the Department of Homeland Security, and we have about a half-hour conversation. He was very polite. And I explained the situation. He was very understanding and said, yep, in your line of work, it's really tricky. And he explained, so the reason that, like, people are crazy about it because, like, somebody will bring, like, I had a mag in my backpack, or I had, my spare trigger or whatever. And to us, it's like, well, yeah, it's a trigger. Like, who cares? But they're really worried about people flying from different airports with parts of guns and then making a gun. Yeah. Which kind of makes sense. I think they're a little overkill. I'm like, if you're already shooting up the plane, who cares about a suppressor? But so that's their reasoning behind it. And anyway, so we had a nice long conversation, and he asked, what have I done to rectify the situation? And I explained what I do now. And he's like, well, that sounds good to me. Like, how about you write a check for $300 and we'll call this a day? And I was like, yep. Like, sweet. Tell me where to send this. And
best $300 conversation I ever had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or $700 conversation rather. And it saved me a lot. So, yeah. So don't bring suppressors on airplanes. I still don't know how it would have worked out if I would have claimed that it was something other than a suppressor, but
well, they can't judge at that point.
So the next person who does this, they should try that, and they should let us know.
Right into the Three Gun Show. Let us know how that worked out for you.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think the audience is big enough now, Adam, that I almost have to say, like, please don't try that. Like, it used to be like I could just joke about
you could joke
like
around,
that.
But no, for real, don't carry things onto the plane because, it's just not a good idea.
Well, shoot, man. So you dodged a bullet on that one.
Yep.
A little bit. And then, so you've been with AMTAC for a couple of years now then.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great way to get started with the company. Did you have any, like, second thoughts of, like, man, I don't know if this life's for me?
No, it was just
like go work for Patagonia.
I was just so pissed at myself for doing something so dumb because I field stripped that pack and I searched through everything, and there's this one random pocket on that pack that I never used for anything. And I had that bag out at the range because I had my computer with me because I was doing a bunch of we were doing product testing, and so I had it set up, attached to a mic and everything else. And we're loading everything in the case, just kind of end of the day, and we're all super tired, and we're like, just somebody throw that in my backpack, and I'll take care of it later, and just completely forgot about it.
I'll put it in this special spot where Adam will know.
Yeah, exactly. Adam will know. It's right on the front. Yeah, and So now we've put a lot of things in place to make sure that stuff like that doesn't happen anymore. It was a pretty rough start. So that's when the company was. I was the second full-time employee. Of
you're kidding?
Oh yeah. So it's attached.
That's cool.
Kind of the parent company is this like larger contract CNC shop, and we do like DoD things. We do stuff for Predator drones. We did the boosters for the SpaceX rocket, the one that like lands on a barge, and we do all this crazy high-end stuff. So this is sort of the boss's like side project. So,
I gotcha.
So that's how everything kicked off, and so I was actually the second full-time guy. So since then, we've had to get a little bit more serious since we're not at like serial number 12 anymore. We're serial number however many hundred, and it's a different however many thousand, I guess. But yeah, it's a different deal now. So,
yeah, no kidding.
yep.
Awesome.
As it should be, because let's face it, that's not cool.
Yeah. So I have mixed feelings on that, because like on the one hand, like it's just a suppressor. It's like actually a safety device.
Oh, it's totally asinine. Like, don't get me wrong.
But on the other hand, like their whole thing of they don't want people taking multiple flights and then assembling a gun. Like, I get that.
Yeah.
But
have you seen airport security,
dude?
Like, if you really want,
when we're so I will not allow this out into the wild.
Okay.
So
like,
I'm telling Adam this story.
Okay, everybody,
you will not hear it.
Turn it down.
You will not hear it. And that, Adam, is my story.
Okay. Yeah, Dave was right to leave that out.
So the main topic that we're here to talk about, Adam, is getting new people into 3-gun.
Yep.
And I appreciate you sharing the comedy with us right here, and let's give the folks something they can do. So
all right, useful. Well, first of all, before we get into that, I want to take a little segue really quick, because when I first listened to the 3-gun show, I was so excited. I was like, yes, there's a podcast about 3-gun. This is awesome. He was a huge podcast guy. I do a ton of road trips and stuff and books on tape and whatever. And so I listened to the first few episodes, and you ask the first few people, when 3-gun gets big enough, like, whatever your spiel was, what would be your walkout song? And I listened to the first one of those. I was like, man, that's a good question. I wonder what my walkout song would be. So I tore through it, and Dave can attest to this. I did not know Dave at the time, but I sent him a personal message on Facebook that said what my walkout song would be, because I wanted it on lockdown, because I found the best walkout song for 3-gun ever. Do you remember what it was?
I don't remember what it was.
So it is Rump Shaker.
That's right.
By Rex and Effect. So Dave doesn't do the intro thing anymore, but you guys just YouTube that and listen to the lyrics. And if anybody disagrees with me that is the best song for 3-gun, they're wrong.
We'll put a link in the show notes there for that one, definitely.
Solid.
I do remember that. I'm like, wow, this guy's crazy, and I like it, and I like his style.
that was actually our introduction, I think.
Yeah,
that was
it was.
The first thing is like, hey, Dave, nice podcast. This would be my walkout song.
Exactly.
Just want to get that on lockdown, so if somebody else picked it up, they'd be like, actually, some totally random dude from Utah already took that. Sorry.
Riser's got that one.
Yeah,
it's all good.
He's got it on lockdown. All right. So getting people started in 3-gun. This is something that I see a lot of people do wrong, and it really kind of bums me out, because it's a really tricky thing to start. It's everybody who has started.
Intimidating.
It is super intimidating, and you almost need somebody to bring you into the fold.
Yeah.
Because even like at local matches or whatever, you have to know like what Facebook group to sign up for, and then they do the post of the whatever, and then you got to go to practice score, whatever the heck that is, and then you got to do the registration thing, and then like there's all these divisions, and you don't know what's going on.
Dude, when I started, they didn't have practice score.
Oh
or
yeah.
Facebook
Oh no,
groups.
it used to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Like before any of that, like is even worse.
Yeah.
But even now, with all the modern technology we have, it is terrifying and very logistically complicated to start in 3-gun, because a lot of these matches too, especially the local matches where you'd actually want to go, are still kind of like old boys matches where like Bob sends out an email to everybody like, hey, we're shooting on Thursday, and like they have the match, right? So there's like no information, nobody knows anything, you don't know the rules, you show up, everyone's like all tricked out with all the crew, like, why are the shotguns 8 feet long? I don't understand. And
shotgun's taller than Riser.
Shotgun's taller than Riser. Well, to be fair, the pistol's almost taller than Riser. But so I think that bringing people into the sport is a really important thing. And I'm not going to say like everybody needs to bring, because everyone does that, like, if you're not RO and like you're not contributing, like, well, not everyone has time to do that. The thing that I do have time to do is bring people into the sport, so that's what I try to do. So what I recommend is the first thing you need is once you find your shooting buddy, and you're going to bring them into 3-gun, you need to start with very, very basic safety talk, because we've all been to a public range where some dude sweeps you with a gun, and you like, dude, like, what was that? I'm like, oh, man, it's not loaded. Like, no.
Dude, I've seen people run off the firing line to chase a fresh target that's blown away.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and so you're right. I mean, there are.
I won't even go to public ranges anymore. Like, I just won't do it.
I stopped doing that years ago.
Oh, it's terrifying. So give them, like, start all the way with the basics, 4 firearm safety rules, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then I strongly recommend actually starting with the USPSA match.
Mm-hmm.
Don't start with the 3-gun match. It's
back up to the safety part of it.
Yeah.
And this probably plays in the USPSA portion of it
Mm-hmm.
too. I think you might be going there, but what kind of other than like the 4 rules, what kind of like basic safety sort of thing do you give them? Like,
you talk about
like
so,
moving with a gun, or
yeah. So what I generally do is once I give them the basic breakdown, I'll just like show them a clip from a club match, and not like, oh, dude, check it out. It's like, but like, this is kind of what it's going to be like, so they have some idea in their head of what it's going to look like. Loan them your gear, preferably a Glock. If all you have is 2011s, borrow a Glock from somebody else, whatever. Just like have them shoot a Glock, load that thing all the way up with 9mm and have them shoot 9 limited or whatever. Don't worry about having a million reloads or anything like that. And then I talk them through the match safety rules. So you can only touch your gun at the safe table. You can only touch ammo outside the safe table. All the stuff that's going to keep them from getting DQ'd at the first match, because you don't want the dude to show up after all of this and then like pull out a mag at the safe table and go home before he pops shot off.
Because USPSA people, let's be honest, love to DQ
They
people.
love to do. I know people that I swear they go home every day and they like scratch another notch in the timer.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, really? I've actually heard ROs after DQing someone say, "Got one." I'm like, dude,
are you kidding?
I swear to you.
Oh
I
my
swear to you.
God.
I'm like, that is not how you help people through this sport.
And
man.
that's not how you like grow our sport either.
No,
It's not a gotcha thing.
Exactly.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand we have safety for a reason.
Yeah.
But it should never make you happy to have to DQ someone.
No. I like any of the times when I've been around it or had to do it or anything else. Like it's not an awesome thing. Like you need to. Yes, it is a safety violation in those cases. Like the mag in the safe area thing. Like I understand why that's a rule and everything. But we're here. We're like, all right, your truck is your safe area. If you shoot your truck, it's a self-fixing problem.
Yeah. Gun's a little bit different in that case.
Exactly. But
so that's probably why you recommend USPSA then.
Yeah. Well, one, it's a little more stringent on the safe stuff, so you're not going to start in an environment where the rules are just a little bit looser in that. You're going to start in a very strict environment, so that's your baseline.
Right.
And then also what I'll do is I'll actually go down to my basement, and we'll just use like a light switch and a lampshade, and I actually have targets and stuff. But I'll actually just set up like a little stage, and I'll use range commands, and we'll have a little dry fire session in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you pull the gun out. Like I'm going to say make ready, and you're going to pull it, and you're going to put this in, you're going to rack in a dummy load, you're going to holster it. I'm going to say, are you ready? And you're not going to say anything, and then I'm going to say stand by, and I'm going to beep the timer, and go through the whole thing to the unload show clear, and do that a few times. Have something where they're like moving right to left or coming up range or any of the weird stuff where people tend to break the 180.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's a really important thing.
I like that.
And then I'll try to go out and do just a little bit of live fire with them. So if they have any like really egregious kind of technique problems or anything like that, we can address it at that point. Make sure that they can kind of shoot the gun. Do a little, teach them how to load it, teach them how to reload it, teach them how, to clear malfunctions and stuff. So if something goes click instead of bang, they kind of know what to do. But don't get like super, super crazy with it. People are like, we're going to make you a masterclass shooter before you get to your first. And it's like, no, man, just like make them safe, make them understand.
You need to dry fire for 9 months before you get
exactly.
your first match.
That's what everyone says. They're like, oh man, I'm not good enough to go into one of those matches yet.
Oh,
like,
I know.
Dude, I don't care how much you practice, you are never going to be good enough for your first match. Like,
I'm so glad that I didn't think that too, because I probably would have never gone to a match.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Because I was just like, screw it.
Yeah,
I'm awesome.
That looks like fun. Exactly.
I know how to do this.
I'm going to smoke these fools.
I can run with guns.
Exactly.
And then I miss all the targets.
Yeah, and then
True story.
So take them to their first USPSA match, and then once that's done, then I do a pretty similar thing with all 3 guns, where I'm going to start with dry fire again. I'm going to do gun transitions, and at this point, I'm not doing the gun transition class that I do at TPC. It's the gun. It's like, put this gun down, with the safety on, pick this gun up, take the safety off, shoot the gun. It's, you're not shaving time. You're not doing any of that.
Just like accomplishing the task.
You're just accomplishing the task so you can get through the stages and be safe. Same thing, moving right to left with a long gun. A lot of people get DQ'd doing that. Teach them how to load, reload, and clear malfunctions on the rifle. Teach them how to load, reload, and clear malfunctions on the shotgun, especially if your shotgun has some weird thing, because shotguns kind of run on like pixie dust and unicorn farts or something, and they all have their own weird little tweak where it's like, yeah, if my shotgun does this and I bang on the left side of the receiver, it'll chamber that shell. So if it ever goes click, just smack that thing real hard and it'll probably work.
I did do that today.
Yeah. I
might need to clean the thing.
Yeah, you should probably do that, Dave. So I'll do the same thing in dry fire. I would start them off just loading deuces. You can load deuces from any quad rig out there. Just, leave half of them empty, or if you're running something with a little bit more generous space, like a carbon arms, just load them up. Don't teach them how to load quads. For God's sakes, don't pull out your 4-shell caddies and teach them how to weak hand load. That's cruel and unusual punishment. Yeah. You shouldn't do that kind of thing. And then so I'll do the same thing. I'll do kind of a little dry fire, like teach them how to do all this stuff. Then I'll do some little dry fire stages, and it's like, run to the kitchen, shoot this, put it down on the table, pick up the pistol, run into the bathroom, shoot the lampshade, set it on, like whatever it is. Then I'll try to do the same thing, live fire. I'll do a little bit of positional work with the rifle if I shoot at a place that has a lot of long-range rifle stuff, because you don't want him to like lay there in the dirt for 20 minutes like shooting a long-range steel. So
with your local match that you're able to shoot, is there a long range there?
And some of them. We're pretty lucky right now in Salt Lake. There's like 3 places on the reg that are putting on 3-gun matches. One of them has some long range up to about 400 yards.
Oh, wow.
And the other 2 are pretty much base stages. So it depends on like the style of your match. Then comes time to actually take them to the 3-gun match, and this is where I think a lot of people really kind of lose the plot a little bit. And you see this in things like mountain biking. So you'll see some dude on the trail riding like a $9,000 carbon fiber beautiful bike, and his girlfriend of 3 weeks is on some old clapped out rattle factory that he's had hanging on the top of his garage. Like, isn't this fun, honey? It's like, no, it's not fun. These shocks have literally never been rebuilt. And
dude, I did this one time.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the Manitou Incline in Colorado Springs?
No.
So the Pikes Peak, 14,000 foot peak in Colorado Springs, there's this Manitou Incline.
Okay.
And it is a cog railway where so the rail basically goes, 45 degrees up the mountain.
Yep.
And the railway is gone now. The rails are gone now. And it's just railroad ties. And so it's a 2,000 foot elevation gain in 0.9 miles, and it's all like stairs, right?
God.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
I was dating this girl one time, and she was like, athletic. I'm doing air quotes like you did.
Yeah.
Athletic and into the outdoors and stuff like that. I'm like, let's go do the Manitou Incline. So we did the Manitou Incline. And she broke up with me like a couple hours after I dropped her off. Brought her back to Denver. She was hating life, like it, because it's a strenuous activity, especially if you're not used to doing stuff like that. So
it's exactly the same thing. You got to ease them in. It's like, let's go for a hike. Like,
no, we totally did.
Yeah,
we did the walk, we did the hike. I'm like, all right, let's do the incline. Nope.
Yeah, no. Piece at a time, Dave. If they're still smiling, you're done. Call it a day.
Yeah.
Wasn't that fun? Yep. The next words out of your mouth should not be, well, let's do this other thing. You're like, awesome. Date, done, fun, winning.
I know, live and learn.
Yeah, live and learn. Have you got any better at that kind of stuff?
Yes, I have.
Good for you, Dave. Good for you.
I learned, man.
Yeah, except now he's like, I live in that trailer in the parking lot.
Yeah, I don't mention that part.
Yeah, so when you take them to your first match, don't be Dave on the Manitou Incline. Don't be that guy on the trail riding the bike that's nice and friends. Let that dude shoot your guns.
Yeah.
Like your nice guns. Shoot your backup stuff. Borrow other stuff to shoot if you need to.
Well, and local matches are usually so relaxed that you could say, hey, this is my friend Steve.
Yeah.
Steve wants to shoot 3-gun.
Put me down 5 in the order.
Yeah. Can you put 3 to 5 guys in between us?
Exactly, yeah. And but and this is the thing. You're going to get to that match, and people will fight each other to loan Steve gear.
Yeah.
Right? Just don't let him. Just like, hey, man, he's already got his kit. If you need to load, like, if there's 3 people between you and you don't have time to switch your belt, load from your pockets. The first match that you take somebody to, that match is not your match. You are not there to win. You're not even there to compete. You are there to make sure that your friend has a really good time. If you place 150th out of 12, fine. That's what happened, okay? You were there to make sure that he has a good time. So loan him your guns. Again, I probably wouldn't recommend like a 2011 or something, but like, Glock, pistol, shotgun, whatever.
Why is that on the 2011?
It's just a little weird. I've seen people have issues with the 2011 in the safety and just a trigger that's that short and that light.
Okay.
It's a weird gun to pick up for the first time if you've never like really shot one. I mean, the first time anybody ever handed me a 2011 was on the clock at my first Ironman, and I was shooting a double pistol spinner down at the end of this bay, and I'm just standing in like an ankle-deep pile of empty mags and brass, and I run out, and Joel Turner, who had just shot like a shooter before me, runs down, hands me a 2011 and like 3 half-empty mags, and I pick up the gun, go to rack one in, and nothing happens because it doesn't even occur to me. I mean, you know what it's like at the end of a big, like your brain's not working anyways.
Yeah.
Plus, it's not the gun on me, so I'm like, grab the grip, rack the slide, nothing's happening. And so I have video of like Joel and Tyler and Dan like, safety, safety, safety. I'm like, what? Oh, the thumb. And I shoot like 3 or 4 rounds. My thumb gets underneath the safety. Safety comes back on, and it was just a total disaster. I shot another, well, I guess mag and a half split between 3 mags. Every time I had to get a spinner to go over, the gun to go click, and then I didn't understand why the slide wasn't locked back. And so yeah, so don't do that to your friend. I mean, it was funny now, but it kind of sucked at the time.
Yeah, no kidding.
Anyways, yeah, I don't recommend it. If that's the only option, just make sure that you have enough time to teach them how that gun runs and all the weird little idiosyncrasies and stuff involved in that. So yeah, make sure that they use your gun. If it's a local match, and it should be, because you don't want to take your friend to a major for their first match, which I have.
I've seen that.
I've kind of done that a little bit. Yeah, that's a different story. Anyways, also related to work. So yeah, you want to make sure that they're running good gear. They're running your gear. And then you want to coach them through stages if they'll allow it. And they should allow it at a local match. I can't think of a local match that's going to say, hey, man, you can't coach your buddy through these stages. Like, that's just not
no kidding.
So coach them through
Find
stages.
a different local match.
While you're doing that, talk to them in a calm voice. Don't yell, go to the right, go to the right. No, turn around. You've missed a target. Run back, run back. Like, don't be that guy. Just talk to him in a nice, calm voice as he's shooting the stage. Remind him how many shells he's putting in the gun. All that stuff. Remind him what his holds are. Like, just talk to him in a nice, calm voice. Part of that, walk the stages with him, develop a stage plan with him, and then shoot the same stage plan. Like I said, this isn't your match. If you got some super gamer, I'm going to put 4 clays in the air at the same time and then shoot the slug target and then do a quad load and shoot the 4 clays. Like, no.
Dude, I've totally done that. Damn it, now I feel bad. That's a good point.
Told you.
I'm like, Here's what you should do.
But
I'm going to
go burn this down. And how did his stage go, Dave?
Yeah, good point. Not very well.
Yeah, so come up with a stage plan that fits him.
Because that helps the visualization, right?
Well, it helps the visualization, and then also he can see you execute exactly the same plan. So he's like, I'm going to do all of those things. Where if this is the first time he's ever tried to put a stage plan in his head, and then you go do something totally different, it's going to make it really hard for him to shoot that same stage plan. Because you, like, regardless of everybody else, if everybody else in the squad is shooting his stage plan and you're shooting some super gamey thing, he's watching you.
Yes.
You are his mentor at this match, and he's going to do what you do. And even if he's sitting there and, he's like, he doesn't know how to visualize the stage. He's never done it before. So the only
and that helps with visualization.
Yeah.
Like actually seeing someone
actually seeing what it looks like. Yeah, exactly. So another thing that I would do, I'd try to film if at all possible, or have somebody else film so you can talk to, however it works. The filming at the same time works pretty good. When you're filming, for God's sakes, have some self-respect and hold the camera sideways. Don't. Vertical video is okay.
Especially shooting, you can't.
Shooting, you can't see anything, right? So, but what you need to see is him shooting from head to toe. Because what you're looking for, like, who cares about the targets, right? Like, don't zoom in on the long-range stuff. And you just need him from head to toe so he can see what he's doing, so you can use that footage later on to help him learn, like, hey, you shot your first match. It's really good. Like, here's the things that you can work on. when it comes time to like look at footage and stuff, don't sit there and nitpick his footage, because literally everything he does, except for the few times when he hits what he's shooting at, is going to be wrong. It's just not going to be right. Like, he's going to be struggling through it.
I got a question there. So the people that I've brought into the shooting sports,
I thought that was a huge hornet or something for a second. It was a giant caterpillar on my leg, and I was about to like freak out.
How in the heck did that get there?
I don't know. This thing's super stealthy though. Go ahead.
So when the people that I've brought into the shooting sports actually genuinely like it, they want to get better. How do you sorry, I'm watching you mess with that caterpillar. Sorry, buddy.
Focus,
caterpillar
Dave.
over here.
It's
going for your butt.
You're running your. Yeah, well.
It totally is.
It'll be all right, Dave.
It's going to crawl in there. How do you decide what sort of feedback you give them? Because people do want to get better, and they say, how did I do?
Yeah.
What can I do better?
Yeah.
So obviously you want to pick the big things and not like the little nitpicky, like, oh, hey, when you're quad loading, make sure you tuck that gun up real
tuck
tight.
that gun up real tight. That'll save you half a second.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so this is the thing. And I'm that guy. Like, I'll come off and I'd be like, I don't care what I did well. I want to know what I did wrong. And a lot of 3-gun shooters are like that. But that dude needs to know that he didn't mess up everything.
Yes.
Like, he needs to know that there were good parts of that. Even if there weren't good parts of that, you need to make some shit up, because he needs to feel good about himself. Because
you know what I'm feeling here?
Huh.
The compliment sandwich.
Compliment sandwich.
Are you familiar with the compliment sandwich?
I am familiar with the compliment sandwich. Man, you shot that pistol really good. When we go home, we're going to have to work on your shotgun spinners a little bit. But then after that, those slug shots, good job, dude.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There you go.
Compliment sandwich.
Compliment sandwich.
Yep.
Yeah, that really does help people receive critical feedback,
Yeah.
So then, I guess
another
if
thing
you had
that
to
you can break
prioritize,
out
it'd probably be safety.
Yep.
And then maybe like large, low-hanging fruit.
Yep.
And then after that, if they press even more, then you start working on like the finer nitpicky
Yeah,
details.
for sure. So one thing that I like to do, especially if you're watching some footage and they're just like, oh my God, because everyone like, in your head, like you're John Wick, right? Like you're running around, you're diving through cars, you're like hosing everybody, and then you watch the match footage, you're like, really? It seems so much better than that. And so what I like to do is they'll be watching that and just be like, oh, Jesus. I'm like, yeah, you want to see bad? Check this out. This is my first match. And show them that, like, this is how bad I sucked. Like, that wasn't too long ago. Like, like there's a road forward, dude. Don't worry about it. Because everybody's like, they get into their first match. And, like, I've seen a lot of people go to one match and never come back.
Yeah.
Because they're just like, holy crap, these guys are so much faster than me. No way am I going to catch them. So,
how do we stop that?
By doing exactly that, like treating them well at that first match. Like really making that the priority, is making sure that they have a good match, teaching them from it, making them feel like they did well, and just making them under. And it's not lying to them. Like, it's not like, oh yeah, you totally crushed that when they didn't. It's like, look, this is where people start. Like people start, like, you see that kid over there who just crushed all those people. He's been here for 6 months. Like, you see that all the time. You see somebody come in and they get motivated and they show up at their first match and they're 50th, and they show up at their second match and they're 48th, and then they show up at their third match and they're 12th. And you're like, wait a minute. And then their fourth match, they're 6th. You're like, oh God, here it comes.
We're going to have to frag someone else.
We're going to have to frag somebody else. Oh my God, we've had to do 3 already this year.
Well, it's like watching children run. You never tell them, like, you run like a 5-year-old.
You run like a 5-year-old.
You're terrible at this.
5-year-olds.
Because they're 5 years old.
Exactly.
They've only been running for a little while.
Yeah. And so after the match, the first thing I address is any safety stuff, and I won't wait till after the match. Like, I'll pull them aside and have the little, like, hey, like, just so you know, like, you came really close here. Like, you got to do the, like, you kind of got away with some stuff maybe because you were the new guy, So I make sure that people are aware of that, because that is the most important thing. Because when it really comes down to it, we're running around with guns, and if you do that in an unsafe manner, that can be dangerous. So
very bad things can happen.
So that's the most important thing for sure. After that, I start with the big low-hanging fruit, and there's usually, just like apples laying all over the ground, right? So you got to find the big pumpkin there, and you got to find the thing that's costing them the most time in the match, or you find the thing that they feel the worst about. So if they came off and you're just like, oh my God, I just got wrecked on that spinner. Like those things are impossible. You're like, all right, dude, next Thursday after work, we're going to go out. I'm going to teach you how to shoot spinners.
Okay.
Find something that they feel awful about and make them good at it. And then they will say, you know what, that was the worst thing I did, and now I can just shoot a spinner. Like, it's not a big deal because now I know how to do it. And all of that other stuff they didn't feel that bad about, it's going to be no big deal. They're just going to walk right into it. So
Awesome. I love that. So, Adam, I really like your concept here. So what do you do, like, going forward? Obviously, if they, had a good experience, they're going to come back. So do you do, like, ice cream and hamburgers afterwards? Or
So I have a few rules. I usually I go with the drug dealer mentality. The first one's free. You get to shoot my guns. You get to shoot my ammo. I'll let them shoot my stuff and just take the hit. And then after that, I'll start helping them buy stuff. I am fortunate enough to have backup guns that I take to every single match. So if somebody has something go down, then they have something else to shoot. So at that point, they'll generally be shooting my backup guns because then I'm back to, like, I'm focused on my match.
Right.
I'll still squad with those guys. I'll still help them, put together stage plans, still film for them, all of that stuff. But I'm not necessarily going to shoot the same stage plan as them anymore. And, I'm back to focused on me at the match. If I'm going out for a practice session or something, it depends. Sometimes, like, Adam and the timer just need some alone time. But if I'm feeling it all social, then, I'll just like, hey, man, I'm heading out to the range on Thursday. Like, if you want to come, I'm working on this, bring your pistol or whatever. I tend to do practice sessions with just one gun, unless I'm doing, like, a serious, like, knock the rust off thing where I, like, haven't touched guns in a couple months, which happens a lot because I go on climbing trips and stuff. So I'll bring them out. I'll practice. If there's anything that remotely crosses over, like if I'm working on long-range rifle, or if he had real trouble with long-range rifle and it's something that I need to put a little bit of work into, then I'll kind of push, maybe I'll push back that, pistol stuff I was going to do, and I'll work on some long-range rifle that weekend. I think a lot of people get, like, really overbearing right afterwards. We're like, oh, dude, you're coming out next weekend, right? And like, oh,
here's
no.
what you need to do. You need to go buy a Benelli M2.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like,
get yourself one of them Armor Light rifles.
Here's your shopping list. You're going to have to take out a second mortgage on your house. So a lot of people get, those, like, oh, yeah, I can't make it. Like, that was awesome, man, but I can't make it next weekend. Like, I got a family thing going on. Like, that's fine. That's life. Like, don't guilt them into, like, coming out to another match and, like, be that overbearing jerk. Also, don't tell them to go out and buy a Benelli M2 and whatever. Although if they can afford it, they just should, because, like, you're going to end up there anyways. And it's like, it's like the joke, like, the most expensive scope in 3-gun, right?
No.
Anything that costs $300.
Oh.
Because it just adds $300 to whatever you're about to buy.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I would make sure and point them in the right direction, gear-wise. Because there's some traps that people fall into, and we've all seen those. But don't tell them to go out and buy a $3,000 pistol and a $3,000 rifle and a $2,000 scope. And, like,
I feel like telling people what not to buy.
Yeah. There's a lot of that.
Explaining the buy once, cry once sort of philosophy.
Yeah.
But also making it like you don't have to buy, a Bugatti Veyron.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people, at least people that I've got into shooting sports, or people that I've seen get into shooting sports, they have other hobbies too.
Yeah.
Like you, like rock climbing, right?
Yeah.
There's probably shit that you bought that you regret,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I can't believe I spent cheap money on this, and then I had to spend double money on this other thing later, which would have just bought once, cried once.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And so I think people get that concept.
Yeah.
And if you can put it into their sort of terms, and if this person, it makes it even easier, because you can bring something out from their life of, like, hey, you remember that time you bought the whatever margarita maker, and you should have bought the Cadillac margarita maker? Yeah, very much same thing.
I definitely, like I said, my backup guns go to every match. So I do hey, dude, you can shoot these as long as you want. As long as I'm at a match, you can shoot these. If you're going to a match and I'm not, and you can swing by my house before the match, you can just take them. Like, that's fine. Go. These caterpillars are everywhere.
It's that same one, dude. I guarantee it.
No, that thing was in my hair. You think it got all the way up my back?
I think it did, yeah.
All right.
It was going for you.
Well, all right, then. I'm a very friendly guy to caterpillars. Apparently, I'm like, I didn't think I was that fuzzy, but yeah. So I'll let anybody who wants to come to me can borrow my stuff, and most of us have some kind of backup things. Maybe we have a rifle that we're not like quite willing to loan out. But yeah, the buy once cry once thing is a very big deal because there's a lot of wrong choices there for sure. And we all see those. We should see the guy showing up at the match. You're just like, I know, God,
dude, really
dude,
angled foregrip. What are you gonna do with that?
Yeah, exactly. Like you're hosed. Yeah, that's one of the first things I do actually when people show up with their own ARs. I just pull out the Allen wrench and start taking stuff off of it. I'm like, you don't need any of this. The sling goes in the bag unless the match calls for it. We're taking off your angled foregrip. We're taking off your backup sights.
Yeah, and it's 9 a.m. You're not gonna need this flashlight.
It's 9 a.m. You don't need a flashlight. There's no night shooting. You don't need the laser. All of this is coming off.
I love it. So let's shift a little bit here. So I like this topic. What if there's someone that comes that you don't know, so you don't get the opportunity to do the dry fire, the USPSA match, that sort of thing. If there's someone there,
just the guy at the shooters meeting who raises his hand, is like, yeah, I'm new,
and you see a spark, that guy could be cool. Yeah, if he gets rid of that angled foregrip. So, so what do you do with that person to help them along through their match?
Most of the same things that I'm going to do when you're already at the match with the person that you've kind of been walking along. If they have some gear that's just wholly inadequate, then if they're shooting their own AR, an AR is an AR, right? Like you can get her done.
Yeah.
I don't care how tactical out that thing is. It'll still be fine for 3-gun. They almost never have a shotgun that's quite set up for 3-gun because let's face it, a 3-gun shotgun is just not a thing that exists in the world outside of 3-gun.
It's not useful for anything other than 3-gun.
Exactly. So I'll of course always loan them that. Or if my problem is I'm 5'4" and I had to buy the kids version of the Benelli M2 straight from Terran because they didn't have it on shelves. So actually at the last match we were in
helping a lot of juniors getting started.
That's right. Well, most of the juniors are taller than me too. They feed him something different out here, man. I don't understand.
Oh shit!
Brian Elson was 6'4" when he was 14 years old. But we were out at the last match. I don't know how because we both have Benelli M2s from Terran. So there's a Terran logo on the side, but that's the only difference. Somehow Brian shot a stage with my shotgun. I went over to the preload table and I was like, where the hell is my shotgun? And I looked down and Brian's shooting the stage. And he's like, yeah, I picked it up and my hand went into my face. I was like, oh, God, this isn't good. And thank God, and there were slugs on the stage, too. So thank God our slug plan was the same. Otherwise, he would have, smoked a falling piece of steel with a slug and gotten DQ'd because Brian tends to load less slugs than I do. But, yeah, so you can, if you are a bigger dude, shoot a kid's shotgun. It totally works out. But, yeah, so if they have a shotgun, or if you have a shotgun that kind of works for them, loan them that. If you don't, just go grab one of your buddies and get that thing loaned over. I mean, we all know 3-gunners are pretty darn friendly people, and they, like I said, they'll fight each other to loan you gear.
Yeah, and that becomes weird sometimes.
It does a little bit.
Now you make it weird. Now you got to make.
No, you got to borrow my stuff. You can't borrow his stuff.
This guy was just going to borrow my shotgun, and now 3 other dudes are now he has to choose between a Beretta and a Benelli, and it's a freaking brand race before he even gets started.
And then everybody's like, no, man, you don't want to shoot that. You don't want the 930. You want the Stoker. You want the, Yeah.
It's hey, everybody.
Everybody calm down. I got this.
This is my newbie. You let me handle this newbie. You get the next newbie.
You get off. Yeah. Yeah, so pull them over. I see a lot of, loading from the little side saddle-y things and stuff like that. I think if they have if you got a good shotgun that has a nice port on it, I think you could teach dual loading in about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So honestly, what I would do is if you have a chest rig or something that doesn't clip to an ELS belt that somebody else can use, I actually just pulled a chest rig off the prize table at the last match. I was like, man, this is gonna be perfect because it's 28 rounds. It's too wide for me. I literally can't even wear the thing. I was like,
gotta reach behind your back.
Yeah, it's this is gonna be awesome though because hey, here you go, boom, done, dual loading, finished.
Yep.
So yeah, if you can get them set up with a nice little dual load thing, that'll make that part a little bit less painful. And it depends on the match. If it's something that I showed up there and I'm focused or whatever, then I'm probably still going to shoot my stage plans and things like that. But if it's just a lot of times at this point now that the club matches are no longer practice, the club matches are actually kind of the goof off matches. Like I'm just there kind of, playing around. And so I'll do the same kind of thing. Like I'll like, hey man, this is your stage plan. I'm going to shoot it like this before. Usually they're pretty cool about just like put the dude down in the order or something like, hey man, put him like 2 behind me. So he sees me shoot this, then he gets his stuff ready and then he goes and shoots. And, if he asks any questions about, where he needs to get better, any of that stuff, all the same things apply.
So what do you do then? So at the end of a match, when you bring your own newbie,
bring your own newbie,
BYON.
Yeah. Well, make sure like if that dude is anything shy of a complete tool, there have been people that I have like newbied through a match, like, dude, good to meet you.
Exactly.
Like that has happened, but I will.
And yeah, as like a climber,
yep,
you've probably assessed like a ton of people and their ability when it comes to like belaying and everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's that sort of.
There's a lot of similar to like, nope, you are not allowed to belay me. Or like, nope, I am not squadding with you again. Like, okay, that was definitely a different caterpillar.
That was Ladybug.
That was Ladybug?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I just got stuff crawling all over me, man.
So if you identify someone that you don't want to return, obviously you just, hey, good to meet you, and then zoom off.
Yep.
If you identify someone that you think like this could be a good person to have a part of our community, you're probably not going to like I said, take them for ice cream afterwards and chat about them and everything.
Yeah.
So what do you do in that like time when you're tearing down the stage and putting stuff away in the shack and everything to reinforce their performance, their desire for the game, or to talk to them about like future opportunities?
So one of the first, I want to get back, re-mention the tearing down the shed stuff because that brought up something else I want to talk about too. But I just completely lost my train of thought, making sure. Ask like the last part of that question again, Dave.
What do you do to reinforce someone's good time and to encourage them to return?
The first thing that I'm going to do, I'll go up and it's a little bit old school, but I'll give them one of my business cards because my business card says AMTAC Suppressors, Adam Reiser, Executive Director of Awesome. And that's
no kidding.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a pretty good icebreaker because and so but I'll like literally give them a card and be like, "Hey dude, this has all my contact information on it." Because that for whatever reason says, "Hey, this guy just watched me shoot. He's taking me seriously. He wants to help me." It's not like, dude, you should Facebook friend me. Remember my name. It's on my jersey, right?
Yeah,
it's like it's a little bit more personal than that. And it's like, hey, like this guy like thinks that there's something there, or at least thinks that I'm like a fun guy to hang out with.
Right.
And for the record, I would much rather shoot with a terrible shooter who's awesome to be around, than an awesome shooter who's terrible to be around, because that stuff is no fun.
Got some of those on my squad. I'm not gonna say which one.
Brian Nelson is terrible to hit knockers. I'll throw names out. No, yeah. Oh, man. I wish you could have been there for Squad Awesome. God. It was legendary. But backing up to what you said about putting stuff away in the shack, one of the things that I'll do, like just kind of on the drive to the match or whatever, with like the dude that I picked out as like shooting buddy, whatever, once, that I want to come out and shoot a match because I think he'd love this thing. Give him a sense of the flow of the match. Like, we're going to show up. We're going to get geared up. We're going to walk stages. There's going to be a shooters meeting. They're going to say, are there any shooters? You're going to raise your hand. We're going to go to the safe table. We're going to put our guns on. If they're going to give us a shooting order, we're going to shoot in that order. I'm going to make sure that you're down a couple so you're not like the first dude on the first stage at your first match. I've seen that. Oh, my God. And it just make sure they understand what's going on. Make sure they understand, hey, you're gonna finish shooting. When you're done shooting, you're gonna walk back to the truck or whatever. Now the bugs are attacking Dave.
Jeez, I got one in the eyeball.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm waiting for the Velociraptor to come out of that cave.
It's got grate on it.
It's got. Have you seen a Velociraptor, Dave?
Yes.
I'm sure it could break through the grates. Okay.
I've seen Jurassic Park.
You've seen Jurassic Park? Did the cage keep him in? I don't think so. So yeah, make sure. Hey, after you're done shooting, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to walk back to your Dave and his selfies. Oh, my God. I think he's having a seizure, ladies and gentlemen.
This is the part that you don't tell the audience about.
Oh, I'm sorry,
They
Dave.
can't see this.
Well, I don't know. I didn't get all the rules. See, you didn't tell me what was going to happen.
I know. I like it to be natural.
All right. So yeah, you're going to tell them, after you're done shooting the stage, we're going to walk back to the truck. You're going to reload your mag so they're ready for the next stage. Then after that, you're going to help tape and reset. Once you're, when you're in the hole, that's when you stop taping and resetting, and you're kind of working on your stage plan. Like, just let them know what's going on, when to move to the next stage. Like,
that part goes. I think is like super important because I feel like I shoot almost primarily major matches anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a douche saying that like it's a bad thing, but because I'm very fortunate to be able to do so. But
yep.
I see a lot of people that come to matches, whether I've seen them at other matches or maybe it's their first match or something like that, but they have not properly been indoctrinated into the, hey, let's go pick up that steel we just knocked down.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and what happens is if you're not the guy to tell them, like, hey, as soon as we're done shooting, like, he's going to say, range is clear or whatever he says, and we're going to walk out and we're going to help reset, and you're going to do that every single time until you're the second dude on, or your second dude from shooting. If you're not the person to tell him that, then he's not going to know to do it.
Yes.
And then some cranky old RO is going to be like, hey, get off your butt and come out. And he's going to feel terrible because some dude just yelled at him.
Bad time, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Yep, if you pizza when you should have French fried, you're going to have a bad time.
What? So
have you never seen South Park, son?
Yeah, not that one, apparently.
Oh, my God, it's so good. So good. It's the ski episode. Fantastic.
One of the better, I guess, like stage briefs and shooter meetings is Jeremy Moore at Shooter Source.
Yeah.
And runs North Texas Multi-Gun over at Triple C Range, Crescent, Texas. Google all those things. Anyway.
All right.
He says shooting is optional, resetting is not.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that in every stage brief at the Texas Shooter Source or Vortex Shooter Source match and in all the shooters meetings and everything. And it's ingrained into the culture of North Texas Multi-Gun.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear that from his shooters all the time.
Yep.
So, and that's a good example of doing it right.
Yeah.
Of like, hey.
Yeah, he's not bitching at people.
No.
He's letting them know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you totally have an option.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, so we've reinforced good behavior. We've modeled good behavior. We've talked about things that they can do better for next time. We've offered gear to lend to them. Now, second time out, they got to buy their own ammo and all that, unless it's like your wife or your girlfriend.
And then they're like, oh, my God, this is expensive.
Yes.
You didn't tell me that it costs this much every time I go to a match. And then you're like, no, dude, you're just going to totally get into reloading. That'll make it so much better.
No, it's way cheaper. Just buy this $2,000
It's way cheaper,
setup.
yeah. It's a little more on, initially, but you'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing. So what do you do from there?
What I like to do is people kind of progress up through the ranks. I'll just do a lot of kind of like checking out match fit or something like that. Like somebody, posts up on Facebook like, oh man, I went and shot this match last weekend. It was awesome. Or I did terrible or whatever. Like I'll just send them a little thing like, hey dude, if you want to critique, like send over some match footage, take a look at it. I continue to invite people out for practice sessions. I have kind of like an ever-growing list of like, hey guys, I'm going out and I'm going to practice this. And it's really easy to have that just like turn into a class.
Yeah.
So you got to be really careful about that. You're like, hey, I'm doing this.
That's a problem I've had in the past.
Yeah. You're like
all of a sudden I'm not shooting at all.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to be really careful about that. Because you can go from a player to a coach in a real big hurry if you just kind of try a little bit too hard. So, the people who are really psyched, like I'm going out to practice on this day. Like I'm working on this. I'm going to be practicing this, but I'm going to have this drill set up, and I can explain this drill to you, and you can come out and practice if you want to. And then I
like that method.
Yeah, and then mostly just letting them know when matches come up, because if you're not in the right circle, you just don't know. Like it's just not a thing that is out there. It's not on the nightly news. Like, oh, this weekend SLPSA is putting on a 3-gun match. Like, come on out. Registration's at this link. Like,
okay, so that's a good point because I get messages from people all the time of like, hey, I'd shoot 3-gun, but there's no
Yeah.
gun in my area, or I shoot USPSA, but there's no USPSA.
You hop on Facebook for like 30 seconds. You're like, no, dude, here's like 4 matches.
Well, yeah, and I'm like, well, where are you? They're like, oh, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. Like, oh yeah, there's no
3-gun in Georgia.
No 3-gun in Georgia.
Just none.
No
People don't.
USPSA. Like, I only know 17 shooters right there that would be your best buddy.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, I'm a unique case, but the problem is, one, finding those matches, and then two is it's probably scary. Like, even if they did know that there was a USPSA match, it's scary to shoot your first match.
Well, like I said, it's scary to shoot your first match anyways, but like every once in a while you'll see that dude at the match that's by himself.
Yeah.
And at the shooters meeting, it's not like, oh yeah, my buddy Bob's first. Like, hi, I'm Bob. This is my first meeting. And every single time I ever see that, I'm like, that dude is badass.
Yeah.
Because that guy's like, I'm going to roll out to this thing that I've never done, knowing that I'm just going to get curb stomped by these guys and just probably make a total idiot out of myself, but I'm going to go try it anyways. I have so much respect for those guys.
Absolutely.
Like, I didn't go to my first match alone. Me and my buddy Eric had to jointly gather up the courage to go to a match together. So like
I did the same thing.
Yeah, we'd at least be like each other's idiots,
Yeah, I had 2 idiots in tow with me.
Yeah.
And I was the only one.
So you guys had like a whole squad of like, oh god.
Well, the match that I went to, luckily, it was small enough where so this I thought was normal, but check this out. So you'd show up, you'd help set up the stage, you shoot the stage, and then you tear it down, and then make a new stage.
Yeah.
In the same bay.
Yeah, we do that for indoor matches at the Armory.
Yeah,
we have a little Thursday night thing. We do that.
Yeah, so that's how small it was. So there's 8 to 10 people or something like that. But yeah, all the other people have been shooting with each other for decade or something like that. So yeah, they're like, who are these guys? Yeah, can't hit targets.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Well, Adam, man, I thank you for bringing this topic, man, because I get this email, I get this Facebook message, this Instagram message all the time of like, how do I get started in 3-gun? How do I shoot my first match? And it's easy to give advice of like, just go.
Yeah.
But from the perspective of those of us that are in the shooting sports and how we can make it a better experience for the people that come out and do have the courage to come out for that first match, whether they're your buddy or just the badass dude on the range who came by himself. I think this topic definitely helps the community. So
awesome.
So thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of the show. And if you listening have any sort of things that maybe Adam and I missed that you want to add, just add to the discussion on the Facebook group, on the Instagram post, wherever you see this and wherever you want to participate. Adam, as always, man, this has been a good time, dude. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Hey, before you take off, check out the show notes at 3gunshow.com/episode 149 for the links that we discussed in the podcast, including pictures of the AMTAC Suppressors case that Delta Airlines lost. And while you're there, you can also sign up for Patreon as a 3-Gun Show supporter or purchase your very own 3-Gun Show logo tee. As always, this podcast is brought to you by Armalite. Armalite has allowed me to get special pricing for listeners on their line of 3-gun rifles, both the 13.5 and the 18-inch, as well as their competition handguards, gas blocks, and tunable muzzle brakes. We've been selling a ton of those 13.5-inch uppers and rifles, which is totally cool, but I know some of you prefer a longer barrel and gas system as well. We have those 18-inch uppers and rifles for great prices also. So if you're in the market for a rifle or components to build your own, email me, dave@3gunshow.com, and I'll hook you up. I'm back on the road now, traveling the country and bringing the good times back to you in podcast form. I will have all of this Armalite gear with me at matches for you to check out. So when you see me in a match, just ask, and I'll be happy to show you. You can even shoot mine if you like. A quick reminder that if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, subscribe in iTunes, Google Play, Podcast Addict, or wherever you get your podcast content, so you will always get the very latest. And if you're new here, you haven't done it yet, go ahead and leave a review in iTunes, Google Play, etc. That really helps us bump up in the rankings and get in front of more shooters like you and I, which is important. Thank you so much for downloading, listening, and subscribing to the show. I'm Dave Hartman, and I'll see you on the range.
If you are finished, unload, show clear.